Hey, welcome back in today's video. Happy Monday. It's good to be back on a regular schedule. Today's topic, we need to talk about the chateau. I'm going to say that word wrong probably several times. And if I don't, congratulate me at the end of this video. The chateau is also known as the Catgirl Mansion. And I remember running into this topic back when I first started covering Dahvie Vanity. And this is also what this involves. There's a lot of things wrong with this place, and generally I just want to raise awareness about it because that's right, Greg, I don't feel like it's a safe place. So if you're unfamiliar, the chateau.org on the internet, it's got a pretty simple website layout. It's very inviting. It almost seems very anime, I want to say. It's supposed to give girls opportunity. The website says that it's the first ever online magazine dedicated to cat girls and kitten play lifestyle. So it's supposed to be a safe space. Can I say? Let me check YouTube demonetized word list. I don't know. I can't say. Oh, I edited that, but it doesn't have on there. So I don't know. It says it was founded by our Chateau Madame Isabella. A lot of the girls call her Izzy as we go further in this. We're going to talk about different situations that are just not safe. And one of the reasons I want to make this video was to show you guys, or anybody that had any questions about this place is probably not the best place, the safe place or the safe space that they say. Most of the social media followings on this place, they're not very big. It's just kind of like its own little niche out there in the middle of Colorado. And you have this lady who's promoting this place, and she's searching all over the internet for girls to bring them back to this place. That in itself seems very odd. Isabella is her name. Karnstein's probably said that wrong. She's actually from the UK. I think most of her following stems from Facebook, which even there is kind of small with just over 10,000 people. They got 19.1 thousand followers on Instagram. She does have just over 33,000 followers on TikTok, where she does, let's see. She was covered in the HuffPost in 7/14/2016, where they said cat girls and kitten play are about to explode on the mainstream in a new way under the leadership of the Chateau. Denver Vampire Weekend, the Vampire Ball. Now I'm starting to remember what people were telling me about back when I was covering Dahvie Vanity. Apparently she's got something to do with this Vampire Ball, but this ties into Dahvie Vanity, which was why I even ran into it in the first place. She apparently is friends with this person, and there's going to be a little bit of a story about him from the person that we're going to be talking about. Not just at Dahvie Vanity, but other people who exhibited terrible behavior towards women. Google says the Catgirl Manor, also known as the Chateau, is a private residence outside Colorado Springs, Colorado, known for hosting kitten play, and has been described as the Playboy Mansion of the kitten play community, even though that's not what Isabella feels is a proper description. This is Isabella talking and how she describes it.
The thing that I'm most commonly told by a male audience is, it must be like Playboy. It's Playboy but with the cat ears, right, instead of the bunny girls. And I say, no, it's different. I say, Hugh Hefner created Playboy with the bunnies to sell a men's magazine for men. Whereas with the Chateau, it was made by girls for our lifestyle. Isabella's
been described to have a very energetic and charming personality, and that's one of the things that helps people to be drawn into this type of thing.
I found it on Facebook, but my first thought was, these girls are cat girls and they're modeling and they look like they're having so much fun, and it's like, I need to get more involved.
I used to be really shy growing up. I would hide behind my dad, and even with family members, I would meow at them.
So when I was first reached out about this, they said that there's a big house in the U.S. called the Kitten Chateau. The Catgirl Manor is basically like the Playboy Mansion, but with cat girls. The only difference is a woman runs the house. So I think a lot of girls feel safe, but it's not safe. There's been so many reports of SA. Dahvie Vanity is a regular visitor of this house, and my friend has finally come out with her story, and people are trying to silence her, and we're not going to let them silence her. That's something we're not going to let happen. The girl's name is Erica, and she came out with her video on May 13th, my experience with the Chateau. She also goes by Keiko. She says this video is one of the most important things she's ever done in her life.
With my story, I hope to share how toxic and unsafe the chateau really is, as a safe space and also as a modeling agency. With what I endured during my time there, I felt powerless and weak to say my piece about what happened to me, up until this very moment. The chateau will no longer silence me.
Erica goes on to talk about how the responsibility of vetting dudes that they bring into the place, whether they're safe or not, is up to the discretion of that model. There are no background checks, which is most likely why someone like Dahvie Vanity was able to just walk on in, which in itself shows you this place is not safe. She has this to say about it.
The word gent is something that Izzy created as a term for men who were a part of the chateau. This could be photographers, partners of kittens, etc. There were no sorts of background checks or applications for gents. It was the sole responsibility of the model to make that call on their guest's integrity.
What it looks like to me is they scour the internet to search for young girls and entice them into this with money and promise of fame and promise of this and that, but actually it's a scam and they don't get money at all, apparently. So on the apply to be a model on the website, it says that there's free usage of website features, there's free VIP tickets to chateau events, discounts, and one of the biggest things is chances to be paid up to $200 per published photo set. This apparently is something that does not happen.
But from all the models I've spoken to, current and ex, not one had ever been compensated. In the Vice documentary, Meet the Girls of the Catgirl Manor, Izzy states that she uses her money from events to fund the chateau. But there is no clear evidence as to where the money actually goes, except maybe to her constantly full supply of champagne and luxurious lingerie. But it definitely does not go towards the models. There also is no formal contracts between the chateau as an entity and the models.
I'm wondering if she actually even pays taxes on any of that, because it is taxable income, of course. Now, another thing I do want to point out is that the website, apparently it gets over 50,000 visits. So, and this is being drawn in and used by those photo sets, which these models are not being compensated for. And on top of not being compensated, they're in an unsafe environment. So basically, she's using people. In the terms of service, one of the first things it says is models will not slander the company or publicly contribute to opinion blogs, which to me sounds very similar to a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA. You might remember NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. Jake Paul uses these. Onision uses these. They use these to keep the people that come into their houses quiet of things that they don't want out. Another thing says that any photos you've previously taken and uploaded to the site will remain and cannot be removed, which obviously, if you want your photos removed, they can be removed. That's not going to hold up in a court of law, much like an NDA. If anybody's ever done anything wrong to you and you've signed an NDA, NDA is not going to hold up in a court of law on that. You can definitely get your stuff removed. You can definitely come out with your story. Another thing, it's stated in their terms of service for these models to uphold to this certain type of look. They must have the cat collars, the ears, and certain things like that. And they're told that if they invest into this stuff, then it will help them move further up the ranks. Only that's not what happens.
Models are highly encouraged and somewhat expected to wear chateau-made collars and ears to represent the brand. I bought my pearl level collar for $60 and was sold on the idea that this would increase my chances of leveling up in the group and being closer to Izzy for representing the chateau. I wanted to support my friend, so I bought the collar. On the updated version of the website, another perk listed is having major discounts on buying ears and collars, which she also sells on her personal pages, of upwards of $350.
So they pay for these collars and these cat ears for up to $300 on some products, and nobody knows where that money goes either. Let's check out what they're selling and see if it's worth the $300. So here we got some collars. Let's check this out. $200. So on Alibaba, you can get these choker necklaces for $4.99 to $6.99. You know, you can throw your own decorations on there and everything. So you can probably buy 50 sets for bulk, and then she's marking these things up to like a lot. I mean, you can tell that's literally the same thing. I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with somebody, getting these kinds of chokers and then making their own thing out of it. What I do think is wrong is getting these things, marking them up at such a high rate and telling your models that they have to get these, or heavily imply that it's going to help their careers and help them move up the ranks and help them financially and
There had been talk about a special guest coming to the chateau, and later that evening, Dahvie Vanity appeared, and a few of his friends walked into the kitchen right next to where I was sitting. To be completely honest, I had no idea who he was. I know that might be a shocker, but I didn't have internet until I was 14, and I never listened to Blood on the Dance Floor, so... He seemed familiar, but Izzy ended up introducing him to everyone, even though most people already knew who he was. Of course, at this time, I had no idea of all of the controversy he had been in, but throughout the night, I did overhear some of the guests saying they tried to dissuade Izzy from inviting him to the chateau. Their concerns obviously were not heeded. A few days later, Izzy and Dahvie invited me and my boyfriend at the time to go to Territory Days on the 30th with them. It's basically like a mini festival in Old Colorado City, next to where I used to live. I agreed to go because I wanted the chance to hang out with Izzy and to show her and her friend around the town. A few days later, I was asked to take Dahvie to the Denver airport, in which he paid me $75. Luckily, my boyfriend went with me. I hadn't heard much about Dahvie until 2020 when all of his allegations started to come to light. Izzy never commented on inviting him to the chateau and letting him around the models. The situation with Dahvie was one of the first in many instances of Isabella ignoring warnings from other people about who she let into the chateau.
So there was multiple occasions where she was warned that these things were happening, that these people were bad, and that you probably shouldn't let them around the other girls, but she still either ignored it, didn't care, and let it happen. Another instance was with a guy named Christopher.
We talked about how I liked being in what I knew as little space. Again, nothing. It was just an idea that seemed interesting to me. And I asked Christopher if he would be a mentor of sorts, since he convinced me that he was knowledgeable about these sorts of things. I told him I didn't want anything romantic between us, and I was hoping to work on things with my boyfriend, and he expressed dislike for that sentiment, but he said he would still mentor me. At this point, I had no idea that age regression is something that you work on with a licensed professional therapist in regards to trauma. So I asked if we could have a session together to do so.
Age regression is something that you're supposed to work with your therapist with, and you have these people that are parading around, taking money from people and acting like they're doing good, when in reality they're manipulating, gaslighting, and we're going to get more into that stuff a little bit later. Age regression occurs when you mentally retreat to an earlier age in all ways. You believe you're back at a point in your life, and you may exhibit childish behaviors too. Some people choose to revert to a younger age, and in this case, it can be a coping mechanism to help them relax and eliminate stress. Age regression in therapy is a psychotherapeutic process that facilitates access to childhood memories, thoughts, and feelings. Something that used in this way should be conducted by a professional. Obviously, this Chris guy was no professional, and obviously he had a thing for this girl, and he was just using his position and power to get what he wanted. On multiple occasions, he touched her inappropriately, despite her not wanting it, going too far on multiple occasions, and at another point, actually moving on to actually SA. Erica talks about how she didn't know how to deal with Chris's advances. She didn't know how to say no. She didn't know how to stop it from happening. And also at the same time, because of the position of power, she still wanted to be included in the group. She still wanted to be friends with everybody. And she felt if she didn't or caused any kind of commotion, that she was going to be pushed away, taken out of the group completely. So she let a lot of things happen that she didn't want to.
Everyone at this get-together was having fun, so I just played off Christopher's advances, like I usually did, even though I was really uncomfortable. I was also worried because my boyfriend and I had just split, and I was scared that he was going to see the live stream and think that I wanted Christopher's advances, which I really didn't. After that meeting, I started to tell some of my friends who were also involved at the chateau about how Christopher was making me feel. I was confused. I just wanted a friend and I wanted to keep the peace, but I knew that deep down, Christopher was making me really uncomfortable. I even asked Izzy if it was normal for him to be so touchy.
She was trying to tell people of this dude's advances, how he was making her feel, and they were ignoring her.
As I started being more open with people I trusted, they simply told me that it was just his personality and that I should just ignore him. But as time went on, his confidence in me in front of everyone increased, and I really started to hate myself. I began to realize I truly did not like him, and I didn't want to go to events that he was going to be at.
This kind of behavior was ignored, it was allowed to go on, and then it progressed to the next stage.
As I walked up onto the platform that was behind the DJ booth towards the back of the club, Christopher seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. This took me by surprise, and I tried to step around him to continue walking towards the girls, but he grabbed my shoulders and began to kiss me, forcing his tongue into my mouth. I was stunned. It was something I completely wasn't expecting. As he pulled away from me and began to be touchy with me, the only question I could think to say was, "What about C?" He simply laughed and said, "She wouldn't mind, and it doesn't matter anyway." I didn't know what to say, and as I managed to hurriedly walk towards Izzy and C to say goodbye before I left, I mentioned it to them. C seemed irritated, but Izzy mostly just dismissed my claims.
So again, her claims were dismissed by Isabel, and then it happened again on another occasion.
I felt someone come up from behind me and spin me around quickly. It was Christopher, who promptly began to caress me, kissing my face and neck. Again, I was stunned, the same way I was at the vampire ball. This time I tried to back away without bumping into anybody else, and I asked him what this was all about. He told me he had noticed he had made me upset before the show, and came to make things right with me.
So just in case anybody is not aware of this, what this Chris guy did to her is illegal. It's called SA, and he can go to jail for this. So we got Dahvie Vanity, we got this Chris dude that hangs around, and then that's not the only one. There was another dude named Sebastian.
I really didn't know who Sebastian was until Izzy told me a bit about him and why she liked him so much. She didn't talk about him for a while, so in December I messaged her to see how their relationship was doing. A few weeks prior, I had heard from multiple people that Sebastian had allegedly one of the chateau models. I was clueless and decided to ask her about it. The screenshots show part of that conversation. As time went on, there was more coming out against Sebastian, and I am led to believe that she knew about all of them. Similar to the Dahvie situation, she ignored what other people were telling her about someone she wanted around, and her lack of action put many people in harm's way.
It wasn't just these three dudes, there was also the photographers. One of the photographers named, I think it was Michael?
He approached me and asked if I was ready. I said I was, and asked if I could take my friend and her boyfriend with me. He simply asked, "Why do you need someone with you?" That seemed strange to me, so I insisted that they come with me, and he relented and agreed. At first the questions were simple, asking me my name and if I was a kitten, how long I've been with the group, etc. As the interview went on, however, Michael began to ask me really weird things.
So his first thing is why do you need people with you? Girls, if somebody is obviously trying to get you alone like this and it feels, you get the uh-oh feeling, make sure you get your friends with you. He then went into asking very invasive, just odd questions.
Do you go to the bathroom in a litter box? How many sexual partners do you have? Do you wear gear while having sex? At this point, I was really uncomfortable and taken aback. I didn't know how to answer the questions, but he seemed interested in my distress, so he continued to ask. Eventually, I didn't want to continue the interview, so he got up and proceeded to help one of the models take off her corset, the only thing she was wearing, which he describes in great detail in his article. I went into the dining room and began to cry. I felt so gross that he was going around asking models questions like that. Some of the girls gathered around me as I sobbed, and one of the photographers was nice enough to approach Michael and tell him to delete the recording of my interview.
So she's very angry at this point, and once again decides that she's going to confront Izzy about this. Izzy keeps on ignoring her, had ignored her the other times, but this time she was more forward than she had ever been, because wouldn't you be?
So I stormed up the stairs and walked into the hallway. Nonchalantly, she asked what was wrong, and I told her, Michael is being really inappropriate with the models. You need to get this guy out of here. She was getting ready and took no real interest in my statement. She simply told me she would go downstairs at some point to see what was going on and to not worry so much.
She ended up posting about her feelings towards these things, to which she was met with a reply from Izzy that said this.
I posted a really stupid tone-deaf status about women being for pictures they post. To my surprise, they both said that they loved me, despite me upsetting a bunch of people in the community. I was just so angry at myself and confused.
So they reach out to her and they say, hey, we love you despite you doing all this bad. Like that's manipulation and gaslighting. And this is not the only occasion. I want you guys to watch this video. It's going to be in the pinned comment. On multiple occasions, these people that are over this thing, they gaslight her, they're manipulating her, they're making her feel like her thoughts are invalidated. It's very wrong. One of the craziest things about this situation is even after all these times that Erica brings up to Izzy about this Christopher guy and how bad he is, she finally makes a post about it after Erica's already gone. If any of you have had any negative experiences or interactions with Christopher, also known as, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, also known in the community as Sir Christopher, I would like to ask you if you could privately, in confidence, message me. I've had multiple girls come forward to me this week alone, and I'm compiling an anonymous list of experiences from different girls in order to help protect my friends and have him removed from certain establishments in LA. I know this might be hard for some of you, but I implore you, as it may help other girls. Thank you. It's very interesting. Like, I don't understand why she's like, you girls come to me. If you've been by someone, she should be, she shouldn't want, it seems almost like damage control. Like, hey, this is really bad. Come to me. Let's compile these things and I'll do something about it. Please don't go public so you can ruin the reputation of my entire establishment. That, I feel like that's what she's actually saying. Erica ends her video talking about actually why she came out and a little bit how this is not a safe place.
It is a sad reality that most women who are put in uncomfortable situations don't feel as though they can speak out against their abuse, no matter where they are in the world. I think that is definitely a reality of many people who have come and gone through the chateau. Many times I asked about men who were in Izzy's life, and my concerns were brushed off or blatantly ignored. There is no excuse for perpetual foul play when even one instance of uncomfortability is mentioned. It is only fair to the perpetrators who use these places as playgrounds to hound on unsuspecting people.
I can't believe they let Davi Vanity in there, and I think it's really concerning. I believe Davi Vanity, that's where he's staying at now. He moved from Florida to Colorado. He's there. I wonder why he's there. But I'm going to share with you now some more stories from other girls. So the point of this video, the reason I wanted to make it was to put this out here and let people know who are interested in this place that this is not a good place, and steer clear from it. Like, this lady is charismatic, charming. She's using her platforms and influence to reach out to young girls in order to coax them into coming here, to fuel her own lifestyle for her own things. There's nothing progressive about it. It's not cool. It's not the thing. It's just people preying on people. And that being said, I really am proud of Erica for coming out. I imagine there's going to be a lot more stories come out about this place. I am hoping that this video helps other articles not to do news on them, not to like positively promote it, because this place is obviously a terrible place. But that being said, and as interesting as this is, there's always something that's more interesting to me. That's right, you guessed it. I want to know what you think. So why don't you go ahead and leave your creative and your interesting responses in the comment box below. Thumbs up those likes, as always, brothers and sisters. I will see you in the next video. Happy Monday. So after doing a full week of uploads Monday through Friday last week, I decided that I'm going to do Monday through Friday uploads again like I used to. So congratulations, Rep Squad. You're having more consistent uploads. It feels good. I'm glad. And I feel like I'm kind of back. I feel like I wasn't. Post-pandemic Repzilla was just like not as good as and as consistent as post-pandemic. So I feel like things are getting back to normal. I feel good about that. Also, if you want to get your name at the end of my videos and be listed here with my other patrons, the patron link will be in the pinned comment as well. Other than that, Repzilla team jerseys are coming out, Rep Squad team jerseys, so gear up for that. Also, I want to see some positivity turtles in the chat. We're going to need a lot of them. And that's just another way to show that you're repping it. And if you're not repping, you're Greg. And how you do that, all you gotta do is subscribe with notifications turned on. Be in the comment section for every single video, because I'm going to be there. Greg the Cat's going to be there. And the rest of the Repzilla community as well. And I expect to see you there too, because this channel loves you. It's time to go to the gym. Good job, Erica.